Hey, all of you out there in Eorzea, welcome to She Heals, I Tank, your bi-weekly Final Fantasy XIV podcast. Today is Friday, February 26th, and this is episode 249 of the Shit Podcast. In case you guys aren't aware, the reason we call it the Shit Podcast is if you do She Heals, I Tank, turn that shit into an acronym, and it spells shit. Some people don't recognize that, and they're like, why do you call your fans shit fans? Why do you call yourself the Shit Podcast? Well, that's why. The acronym is shit. I'm your shitty host, Vegan Pete, and always by my side, the less shitty.
And if you couldn't tell from that intro, it's a Drunk Pete episode. Hey, guys.
It's a DP episode.
Obvious.
Double penetrate. Oh, what?
No.
Drunk Pete? Okay. Drunk Pete
It's gonna
episode.
be a really long night. I don't know if I can do this.
Thank you
Oh my God.
for being here, as always, Avi.
He's not even that drunk. He's just in like super playful.
Super fun mode, baby.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay.
249.
249. Chili's like, I wonder if Avi's wondering if she can open Valheim on the second screen. I mean, later, maybe.
Thank you, Avi, for being here. Thank you to all you amazing people out there, either joining us here live at twitch.tv/SheHealsITank, listening to the podcast, or watching later via YouTube. Glad you found us. Appreciate you spending your valuable time with us. As the older I get,
As the older you get?
like as time goes on, as I extend in time, time becomes a more valuable resource to me, a more valuable asset to me. So I really don't take for granted that people spend that valuable asset hanging out with us.
Especially because, you guys can go out and party all the time and eat out and go places and travel so much right now. It's not like you have all this stuff you can be doing instead of sitting at your computer.
Yeah, you'd think numbers would go up. False. But I think we have a good show for you tonight. At least a serviceable show. We'll see. We have some hot fixes to go over. That brought a much needed change, in my opinion. We have the last live letter that we didn't get to a couple weeks ago. And there are a lot of interviews with Yoshida making the rounds because of the big announcement of Endwalker, which Avi loved. She's super excited about it. That was her from that episode. Before we get into that, though, we love to shout out our amazing, sexy subs. Since our last show, we got Tibian Salt's first time subs. Vaughn114 for 4 months, Maximilian's FFIXV for 5 months, Phoenix0220 for 9 months, Crow623 14 months, Voxna7 19 months, and Hyperpixie Gaming for 26 months.
I feel like this entire episode is going to be like 10% me talking, 90% me giggling silently and rolling my eyes at you.
The viewers will think that's a good episode. With that being said, let's get to everyone's favorite segment.
I'm sorry. Greenleaf Minute.
It's the Greenleaf Minute, and thank you so much. KK McLeod just gifted a sub to Fenris Wolfbane. Thank you so much, KK McLeod, moderator extraordinaire and all around good motherfucker. Greenleaf Minute, Avi. I think I got a good one for you. You haven't read the outline yet.
I have not.
This week, I think we have a true Greenleaf Minute, helping out the newest of new players out there. One of the best things I think about Final Fantasy XIV is the ability to play every class, every job on a single character. And a question I get seen asked a lot is, how do I change my class?
Oh, Super Greenleaf.
So maybe you started out as a Marauder thinking you were just a DPS, and then you figured out that you're going to be expected to lead in dungeons.
And nobody wants that responsibility when they're first starting out. Well, some of you do, but I don't get it.
Yeah, this is for you then. So the main requirement to be able to change your class is just that you need to have completed the level 10 quest for that class. So as long as you
just
do
once, you don't do it for every job.
yeah,
It's just the first.
just do it
your
for,
first.
for the first class you pick,
Mm-hmm.
and you do that pretty quickly. So it's really not that big of a deal. And then after you complete your level 10 class quest, you can simply go on over to any other guild master and take that level 1 quest from them, get that weapon. Then all you got to do is equip it, and you can change to that class.
There, however, is a caveat. The only time it's like kind of frustrating is that not every class is available in every starting city. So you'll either have to wait until you can access via airship the other starter cities, because running is just not going to be a fun situation.
It's not even just running. It's like you need an airship.
Yeah, well, some of them you can run too. So you'll have to keep going through the MSQ. So you'll probably go past level 10 before you're even able to change jobs. So honestly, if you decide you want to change jobs pre-level 10, I would suggest starting a new character.
Yeah, so if you want the same name, just delete your character, get the same name, and then re-roll that character as the class you wanted to start out with. Oh, and look at that. Chili, the real hot chili pepper, dropping some codes in chat for the male Valention's Rose armor.
Thank you, Chili. You're such a sweetheart.
And yeah, anything to add? Did you ever change your character? Like, did you get it right on the first time? Did you start one character and go through, or did you re-roll?
I'm still playing the original character I created. She's looked different a bunch of times. She's been Fantasia'd, and I even did pay for I renamed her because she was originally Avienda Ale. But then I had people who are fans of the Wheel of Time, which I'm as well, telling me that my character was wrong because she didn't have red hair at that time and played Dragoon. So rather than do that, I shortened it to Avi Ale so that people could just shut up.
So yeah, you changed your whole character. I would have just told people to shut the fuck up.
I mean, it was so often that I just got tired. And also people didn't know how to pronounce Avienda. So by shortening, and then a lot of them would call me Avi. So it just kind of made sense. It was worth it in the end.
I mean, if I'm being honest, my very first character was on your account.
Right.
And I made a little Lala thaumaturge.
Mm-hmm.
But after we started actually playing, I made my own account, and I'm still on my very first character from that account as well.
So your second character.
We haven't had to change classes that early, but it's really not a big deal if you have to, because it doesn't take that long to level up. Even if you want to get to the quest where you do the airships, I think it's like level 15 or something like that.
So Pete, what class did you start on? Not for the thaumaturge, but your character you're still playing.
Paladin, gladiator.
Oh, nice.
So
I started as an archer bard. I actually did a lot of research to find, see what people said was the most fun class to start the game with and to kind of learn the game, and bard was considered that at the time.
Yeah, you started before me, so I kind of casually learned from your experience.
Mm-hmm.
And from that, I learned that it didn't really matter what job you played, and what race you started with didn't really matter. Because in Dark Age of Camelot, the last MMO that I played a lot of, it actually mattered what your starting race was.
In most MMOs, it matters.
Yeah, what
a
you're
lot more.
starting.
I mean, if you're going for pristine numbers, maybe you will actually care about that, for top tier stuff. But for the large majority of the game, it's negligible.
Yeah, and I think in this game, even at the top level, it's negligible.
Yes,
is that a word?
That word you said.
It's like less than 1%.
Right. Yeah, even in an 11, I assumed it mattered. So I actually started the game as an Elysian because I assumed that the race mattered. And I looked up what race was the best race to play as an archer. And it was Elysian. And then I didn't really want to be an Elysian. No shame to Elysians.
Pointy-eared bitches.
No. What? Most of the characters in this game are
Why'd
pointy.
you write that in the outline then, Abby?
Oh, okay. I guess I did. So that's why I Fantasia'd relatively soon after starting Elysian. So, yeah.
Yeah, I haven't. Oh, I was gonna say I hadn't Fantasia'd at all, but I did Fantasia into Ephemero because I lost a bet.
It was amazing. You didn't want to change back.
I didn't want to change back. You were like, you changed back. I like you better as how you were.
In your little subligar.
And I was like, yes, master.
Okay.
So that's the Greenleaf Minute. Very easy to change your class if you want to. Let's get into Obby's favorite segment. It's the tweet of the week. It is the tweet of the week, and this one comes from Jack of Games, who says, I tend to bounce between MMOs, but it's great that at She Heals I Tank community is always there when I decide to jump back into Final Fantasy XIV. And we know them as Sufal in our Discord. A little plug for the Discord right there. Join it. Great community, lovely people, always looking to help. If you're new, if you're experienced, looking to do some content, always good. We got different channels for whatever server or data center you're on.
You're like the total salesman, Drunk Pete tonight. It's like every single thing you reference, you're like, and the history behind that, and the reason it's important is because it's just funny. I love you.
So I'm a good podcaster tonight.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying right now.
But we're glad to have you back.
Thank you for the kind
Jack
words.
of Games. And yes, thank you for the kind words. News and notes from around the realm, Avi.
All right, good news for you players out there that might be taking a break from the game right now. I know there's actually quite a few of you doing this, myself included. But if you're taking a larger break than myself, there is currently a free login campaign going on right now. Your account will have to have been inactive for at least 30 days in order to be eligible. And this time you can get up to 4 full days of free time to play. It's consecutive, so make sure that you pick a time to start it when you have those 4 days available to log in consecutively. And like always, your playtime starts as soon as you log into the updater, so don't even update until you're ready to play. That's definitely plenty of time for you to catch up on any of the MSQ if you're only a couple of patches behind. And Pete had actually been talking about this with me before the episode. That like if you just enjoy playing the MSQ and you don't really feel like socializing with everybody, you just want to kind of catch up on the story, then you could pretty much play 14 exclusively through those 4 days and catch up on the story. You might even be able to do the Valentine's Day and Little Ladies Day like combined events during this time, and you're going to have until March 31st to take advantage of it.
Those beautiful sounds are because Phoenix0220 just gifted 5 subs to the community, so thank you so much, Phoenix.
And Drunk Pete forgot to turn off the Steam Loves sounds, or you just didn't want to.
Yeah, I think Drunk Pete's checked out. We're just letting all the sound effects go out.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Phoenix.
We really appreciate you.
But yeah, this is what I was kind of thinking of earlier. If you're not that into like, running like weekly maps with friends or something like that, or doing any raids,
or just talking to people.
If you just enjoy doing the main scenario, just wait for these free login campaigns, because as long as you can set aside you probably don't even need the full 4. You can probably get it done in 2 or 3. Even if you're 2 patches behind, you can get it done in that time. You can just play this game for free, baby.
Can I have that beer? I think you need to not drink anymore.
You may not have my beer. Sorry, denied. We've talked about the Final Fantasy trading card game when it was first released years ago. Now they have come out with a Shadowbringers themed starter set for the game. This comes with full art variants of fan favorites such as the Crystal Exarch and Emmett Silk. You get that crystal dick. This starter set comes with 2 pre-built decks of 50 cards with 10 brand new characters. The two decks in this set contain Earth Lightning cards starring Scions such as Thancred and Urion J, and Fire Ice cards that let you feature fearsome enemies as seen in Shadowbringers. With this 2-player starter set, you will have everything you need to jump right into battle. And thank you for that follow, my mistress, Cute Vegan.
Not mistress.
Missy?
My lady.
My lady.
I don't know.
Mr.
Just
and
not
my lady.
mistress. My man. Okay. You do not have a mistress. Oh my.
Yeah, I was at a loss for words.
Obviously.
I'm drunk if you haven't noticed.
Yeah, it's one of those nights.
Um,
So there
Avi, you want to play this game with me?
sure.
That's a fucking lie.
If you buy the game and you want to play it, I will.
You know, that's what true love is. Because Avi has no fucking want to play this game.
I don't.
I wanted to play it 2 years ago when it was first announced.
Well, but it's a 2-player starter set, so this is perfect.
She gave the same answer. If you want to, we can play.
We went camping and we forgot to bring any of the games that we have, and we stopped at I think a Walmart is all there was, and we bought Magic the Gathering cards, which was not a game I ever wanted to play, but we played it and actually had fun. We kind of made up our own rules because we didn't know how to play, but I did. I don't think we've played it since, but I played it with you because you wanted to.
I wanted to play this game. I love card games.
Yes. I like card games with like 4 people plus, more than 2 players.
I love tile games too, baby. Mahjong.
Mm-hmm. All right, so
I'm ordering this.
Okay. There have been
We'll do a live stream. Us playing.
Do you not want me to talk? Because every time I start,
I just feel like interrupting.
Okay. There has been some hot fixes made to Save the Queen, Blades of Gunhilder. The drop rate for the loathsome Memories of the Dying have been increased for critical engagements. The drop rates for Haunting Memories of the Dying and Vexation Memories of the Dying have been increased. The number of loathsome Memories of Dying obtained upon completion of the critical engagement, the Battle of Castrum, Lacus, Litore, which is the worst
Which is also
name.
known as the
Clit. Is the Bozjan Southern
I can't
Front.
control my horny level.
Has been increased from 1 to 5, which is kind of a big deal. The maximum number of coins that can be obtained from personal spoils in the critical engagement of the
I can't control my horny level.
in the Bozjan Southern Front has been increased from 26 to motherfucking 100, and completion of the critical engagement, the
I can't control my horny level.
will now reward metal and elegant tomestones of revelation or experience points. Characters whose levels are 80 outside of the instance will receive tomestones of revelation, while characters below will receive experience points. Because that was really dry, I had to cut a lot of that out.
But yeah, we get a lot more coins now. I think this has worked. This is a good step in the right direction. They added more rewards. I think it might have been really, it probably wouldn't have been easier for them to just add it as a queuable thing, like Delubrum.
Like what?
Delubrum Ragine. But yeah, they added more stuff to the rewards so people would queue for it. I remember last week after the episode, myself and Chili tried to get into a clit, and we were unsuccessful. The clit was filled up for a couple ones that we went into, and then and the other times it just wasn't having us.
Sounds about right.
And we were gonna have to wait too long for it. And
All of that makes sense.
And I can't be bothered.
Yep, that all of that sounds about right.
And since that 2 weeks ago, I have not stepped foot in Bozjan Southern Front, but I'm glad that this has been successful. I'm glad that this has gotten people to do the Southern Castrum again. And people have been able to get that so they can proceed with their relic weapon. So good shit.
Yes, I think these were all very good changes in order to make sure that they're trying to keep the content as relevant as possible because it was already dying pretty quickly, and it's kind of sad to see it die that quickly. I love all the chat in regards to everything Pete just said. Yep. And that was pretty funny. All right, Pete.
Regine Clitori.
Yep.
What?
That's exactly what I was talking about.
Oh damn, we're out of the news already. It's been 2 weeks and only that much news?
Not much. All right, Pete. This question is from KK McLeod, originally from episode. I didn't write that part down.
KK, you bitch.
Question is, who killed Midgardsormr's son, Bahamut? A.
Fucking hero, that's who.
Asians, B. Alligans, C. Louis Sois, or D. the Warrior of Light? And we got Drunk Pete. So
Who killed Bahamut's nephew?
no, who killed Midgardsormr's son, also known as Bahamut?
Who killed Midgardsormr's cousin, also known as Bahamut?
I didn't say cousin.
Oh.
Who killed Bahamut? Who is also Midgardsormr's son?
I mean, we killed Bahamut in the raid?
You okay?
Am I right?
No.
Us, Warrior Light?
No, you're wrong.
Son of a bitch.
The answer is the Alligans.
Ah, fuck those nerds.
Okay. That was awesome.
Was it?
Yeah, good job. You're so smart. Appreciate
I'll hit
you.
myself with the crickets on that one. I'm like, I don't give a fuck. I killed fucking Bahamut.
Yes, you
In
did.
a fucking raid I did.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Avi, let's start this discussion with a tweet from William Riley, the old school gamer. At She Heals I Tank. Why do you seem really upset about the new expansion, Avi? I was wondering why.
So Pete actually brought up this tweet because I haven't been paying attention to Twitter. I apologize for not responding to your tweet. Pete brought this up before the podcast and we were talking about it. And well, one thing he said is he knows me and I only get upset about things I care about. So first of all, if I'm going to get upset about something, it's because I actually care. And second, I feel like the response is the response you never want your dad to say, where it's, I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed. I'm just like literally and he even joked at me. He's like, if they'd have just said Vieira can wear hats.
That's all she wanted.
I would have been fine. But like every single little thing I wanted, like not a single one of them like worked out.
And
my hopes weren't high.
let me give a little background too. Like, Avi had just started getting like way more involved too in the FC in general. She was like getting more officers involved in the FC.
New officers.
Neither of us are FC leaders in this FC.
Our FC leader kind of is like
AFK
taking a
at the
break.
moment.
Yeah.
But like she was getting more people involved to get like more leadership positions for people who played often. And like that kind of like reinvigorated her a little bit. And she was really into it. She like was super hyped actually about the announcement.
But I didn't even need much. I didn't need much.
And like it's like what you feel like you didn't need much is like I don't know how to explain it, but like what they announced just wasn't what she was looking for.
It wasn't like none of it was like not even a little bit.
And like she didn't get a little bit of what she was looking for. So that's probably why it came through as such
anger. Well, and it was also with the dynamic of the three of us. Yeah, I was just really, really disappointed, which disappointment can obviously easily turn to anger.
But yeah, the much worse option is just like we don't give a fuck and we stop doing it.
Right. So I'm either angry or I'm not playing. Like it's at least I still care enough to be angry, I suppose. Hopefully it doesn't like it just really is a bummer. Yeah, because I was putting a lot of effort into the FC, and now I actually like messaged all our officers, and I actually had to say to them, "Hey guys, I'm so let down after the special announcement that I really just need to take a step away for a minute because I can't log in right now and like want to be in this game."
Yeah, I think this May announcement for like the FanFest announcement, that's probably gonna have a big impact on how it affects this show.
Yeah, like 50% of the show. Yeah, if it like I'm not asking for a lot. I'm not. I want something to be excited about, and because of that disappointment, I don't know if hats would be enough now. Like it needs to be more than that now.
I think you're setting yourself up for failure.
I'm asking for more than hats. I'm not asking for much. Like before I wanted hats, now I need more than hats.
Yeah. I think you need to lower your expectations.
Than hats.
Yes.
Then
you want to be happy about hats.
You literally think that's all I'm gonna get is hats.
Hats.
It was hats or hair, Sajar.
Okay.
Like hats and hair. I was like, hats or hair would have been great. I prefer hair personally for the Vera, more like to be able to wear the styles I paid cash money for or gathered in game.
To be honest, when I think of hats and hair.
Yeah.
The other thing I think I expected was the other genders.
Right. I was really hopeful for those things, and it just, oh no, man. I also always find that I get like reinvigorated with the game, with the fan fest and the announcements and everything. And this was just like, it was just like, I was like started, like you started 100% and it was like my HP was just going down and going down and going down. And the region wasn't strong enough to keep me from dying at the end of that thing.
Yeah. And I don't have the high of highs that Abby has.
I don't think that my highs aren't even that high.
Well, I don't have the lows of lows that you have. I'm much more
emotionally
even keeled on that. So it's like, this announcement to me was going to be, I don't know. I was underwhelmed by this announcement, but it wasn't to the extent that I'm going to get so salty about it.
Hey, I just passed a drug test, KK. I do not. Got a new job.
But I think that was why. Abby really cares about the game. She likes it. It has a special part in her heart.
Yeah.
But when you care about stuff and it doesn't live up to the expectation, it sucks.
Yeah, it really, and I take it personally.
I think you can do that for anything, like a TV show. A lot of people really love Game of Thrones, and when the last season happened, a lot of people were fucking disappointed.
They felt betrayed. They felt let down. It's a similar kind of thing because you get attached to the world, the way you feel in that world, and and you want certain things for that world.
And granted, this is just an announcement; it's not the actual product. But this should be something to provide like hype.
I feel like their marketing team needed to like put their foot forward and be like, you need to give them more. We need to be able to market more than, hey guys, PlayStation 5.
Yeah,
Shocker.
There wasn't really like a big announcement.
Yeah,
it was like Endwalkers. Okay, Endwalkers trailer. You were there for the trailer. You enjoyed the trailer. But then after that, it just as you said, downhill.
Yeah. Well, like when we talked about it in the last episode as well, like the Shadowbringers trailer, like people analyzed it and you're like, ooh, who is this? What could this mean? What's that weapon mean? And in this one, it was like, oh, this is the new healer. Oh, this is who's going to be there. Oh, this is where we're going. Oh, the trailer didn't even leave any questions for us to like speculate about and to wonder about. It just felt like, well, here's what you get. Don't ask for more.
And Chili says only 3 people were hyped about the PS5 because that's how many own one.
Right? That they just needed. I feel like the audience, the player base, we really needed something to be excited about because this past year has been hard on everyone, and we've gotten so little content because of this year. And while we understand that, and we completely get that like the telework situation and the dynamic changing is going to shift the output that can be released, but we needed something to be really excited about, and I don't feel like it delivered. And for me to not become bitter toward Final Fantasy 14, like I'm stepping away right now and I'm living in Valheim because Valheim is amazing, but I'm still raiding 2 days a week. Like I'm just relaxed raiding. So I'm not gone. I'm just emotionally. I'm Rachel from Friends and we're on a break. Okay, Ross, we're on a break.
I mean, like how long can they expect us to log in and just do the same 2 dungeons?
Well, they expect us to take breaks, and Yoshi P says that.
Yeah,
and
I mean,
so
that's the thing. Yoshida, and I've said this for a long time. Yoshida expects us to take breaks, and I think that's a fucking dangerous game for them to play.
Especially when you record a podcast.
But I did tweet about this, and I don't think I talked about this last week or 2 weeks ago. I tweeted it out that the week after the announcement. I said, now that it's been a week since the Final Fantasy XIV showcase announcement for Endwalker, how did it live up to your expectations? 31% of you said it lived up to expectations.
No, they said exceeded.
Oh, sorry, exceeded expectations. 59 or 59. God, I can't fucking talk. Said got about what I thought, so met expectations, I would say. And then 10% said, it didn't. I wanted more.
That actually sounds about right based off of the player base that we saw, like that we were there with our free company. There was about 2 of us who, were like crushed. And everybody else was like, eh. And a few of them were like, fuck yeah, whale. So that actually sounds about right.
I feel like people who played 4,
not that we had 200 people there for the 10% to match up, but I'm just saying there was like 2 people that were
really enjoyed 4 and that lunar whale. They fucking love that shit. But everyone else was like, okay, whale, 8-person mount, gonna cost me like $50. Okay.
Yeah, drop $50 on a mount.
Yeah. So, something we didn't get to last episode, Avi, was the live letter for the patch 5.5 preview.
Which we get as old now news because, doing the podcast every other week kind of makes it a little tricky.
Yeah. We didn't get a trailer for the patch. They replayed the trailer for the new expansion. But the name of the new patch is Death Unto Dawn. And we're going to obviously get new main scenario
Oh my
quests.
God. Oh my God. I just noticed. I'm so sorry, but the acronym for that is DUD. That's really bad.
Yes, this is the dud patch.
Oh my God. That's really bad. Sorry. I'm not trying to stay negative. We were just kind of talking about negativity and my headphones are not working right now.
I will say it's probably not going to be a dud patch because
I'm not thinking it was, but I just saw the DUD.
Square Enix is pretty good about being really good on the first part and really good on the last part. For me, it's a middle part that has a lot to be desired.
Fetch quests.
But yeah. The story, this is going to be the story update, split into 2 parts. It will pave the way for the Endwalker storyline, patch 5.5 on April 13th, and patch 5.55 at the end of May. The main scenario in patch 5.5 is highly relevant to the events that lead up to Endwalker, and thus will be released in 2 parts. I guess I just double spoke what I just said. I don't know. So yeah, that's what we're getting with the new MSQ.
So my headphones are cutting out every other word, which is making this very freaking difficult to do. I might have to take them off because I can't hear myself or hear you. I'm sorry. I didn't hear anything you said, Pete, because I got every third word.
Then we're getting a new Alliance raid. The 3rd chapter of the near-inspired Yorha Dark Apocalypse Alliance raid series. They're not telling us the name. They're keeping it super, super secret as to the name of the 3rd and final part of the Alliance raid. But there will be a weekly quest after you complete it. Kind of like what you typically get. If you complete them all in a week, you get like an upgrade item for your tome gear.
But that's not a quest. This is different to get a weekly quest.
No, we had that with the Labyrinth of the Ancients.
That's so long ago. So that makes this new.
We had it.
I'm just saying, like, you get, oh no, we just had that. That's Labyrinth of the Ancients is not just had that.
I mean, there might have been one for the other ones that I just don't remember, but that's the one I remember.
Okay, that's fair. We're getting, oh goodness, excuse me. So you talked about the Alliance raid, and we're doing the Sorrow of Warlick quest line. I'm sorry, I got a little messed up.
You are correct, sir.
Okay. I had to take my headphones off, and it just threw me. So we're getting the thrilling conclusion of the Warrior of Light and Gaius' quest to thwart the Empire. Such a great word, thwart. The Empire's War Machina development project, which includes a new trial known as the Cloud Deck, where players can face off against the fearsome diamond weapon in this latest trial, which will be available in both normal and extreme difficulties.
Super excited about that, but I'm even more super excited about that sub from Doctor of Deliciousness.
That's a great name.
Great name.
We're getting a new dungeon, which is called Paglathan.
I'm glad you took this one instead of me.
How would you say that?
Paglathan.
That's what I said. Which is going to be trust system compatible. It is an arid region on the southeastern side of the continent of Aldenard, lying east of Thanalan. It is the homeland of the Amalja Beast tribe. And in the screenshot we got, you can see one of Fandaniel's towers in the background. So, ooh, spooky tower.
One dungeon. That's all we get.
Doctor of Deliciousness, I love that it's your first sub, and you basically just have like a little tiny pile of poop as your like sub badge. It's my favorite one.
In case anyone's unclear, she heals our tank. The acronym is shit.
No poop.
Because I notice sometimes you
you introed with.
I know.
Okay.
You tell that to people sometimes, like when we meet them at a fan fest or something, and they're like, "We're the shit podcast," and they're like, "We don't get it."
No, I know. I gave out chocolate poops that said "She heals I tank" on the label, and people still didn't get it. I know. Go ahead.
Alongside the addition of a new field area, Xandor, players can further upgrade their resistance weapons to their final and most powerful state. So we're getting more.
Oh my god, Chili just dropped my most favorite mount in the entire game, the Kingly Peacock mount, which is gorgeous, and you can like its feathers will plume out, and it's like gorgeous. And I can't believe you just did that, Chili. Freaking unreal. Speaking of unreal, there's a new Unreal trial. The next powered up version of an existing primal is going to be unleashed upon level 80 heroes, providing players with a new challenge and a chance to collect unique prizes like the green unicorn already there and the neckerchief that I think has the little fox on. What is it? I don't even know what's on it. But there's a mount that you can only get through the Unreal challenges.
Yeah, I'm a little disappointed that we haven't beat that yet.
We haven't tried. That's not even. That's not about like.
Not since the first day.
We did it the first day, and like we haven't done it since. And then but
we're working on Savage. Still.
Yeah, we're just slowly. Well, like this is the joke with our Savage group is that we get like one day a month where everyone's actually there.
Yeah,
it's been pretty bad.
High-level crafters can look forward to new content in patch 5.5 that will earn them special achievements and unique crafting tools, expert recipes. Yeah. I'll be
Why
shocked.
did you say it that way?
I'll be shocked.
Why did you expert recipes?
Because that's what they say, but I'll be shocked if they actually make it hard.
That's what she said.
That's what she said. The locals of the firmament will periodically hold fits. What the fuck is that word? F-E, but it has a fucking accent mark above the E. Fets to celebrate the completion of the restoration. So fates? Fucking stupid ass word. They tried to fucking upgrade fates to fets.
There has been an.
I wrote this fucking outline. I didn't notice that.
Oh goodness. There's been an Explorer mode update, which is going to be expanded to feature the new additional dungeons, even though new hairstyles cannot be expanded to feature the Viera's heads or the Rothgars. Explorer mode, if you didn't know, allows players to explore the dungeons free from danger in order to capture striking and fun screenshots while enabling the use of mounts and minions. Players will also now be able to use perform actions while in dungeons, such as playing musical instruments. So now you can hold your own, like, concerts in a dungeon, but I don't know how many people can actually get in there because this is more important than players' characters.
Actual content.
Sorry, this is not a thing I'm happy about, Anyways, hats.
And it seems like everything else, jobs, adjustments, PvE, PvP, custom deliveries, ocean fishing, new maps, that's going to come in part 2 of the preview for patch 5.5. And the Dragon Song War Ultimate Trial was supposed to be for patch 5.55, but that will be delayed until patch 6.1. Sad face. Alright, like we mentioned at the top, lots of interviews with Yoshida due to the announcement of Endwalker. Avi, I forget. Do you like to be the interviewer or do you like to be Yoshida?
I'm always Yoshida.
Alright, I'm asking you the question then. Endwalker will bring Final Fantasy XIV's 10-year-long story arc to its conclusion. How does it feel to finally close this long chapter When did you first envision how this chapter of Final Fantasy XIV was to end, and how much has the final version changed from that initial premise?
Since the time of A Realm Reborn, the idea of the Hydaelyn and Zodiark saga already existed and was what we were working off of when creating the story. Being able to tell this story to its conclusion required FFIXV to succeed as an MMORPG, and we were far from being able to declare the ongoing story as the Hydaelyn and Zodiac saga even at the time of Heavensward's release. Following the release of Storm's Blood, I'm making words up now, and having seen the growing community and success of the game, I thought it was time to make a more fully fleshed out concept of the story and think as to how and where this conclusion might take place. Back then, I felt 6.0 or 7.0 would be a good time to wrap things up, but with the excitement we saw with Shadowbringers being even higher than our expectations, I decided we shouldn't draw the story out awkwardly and continue and draw out the excitement, by concluding the story with Endwalker. That's why it didn't happen when we thought it was going to happen. I've had conversations with this where it seemed like we were going to get this end, and then for some reason we didn't get this end, and then it kind of drew out. It was because of the popularity.
I talked a little bit about that last time.
That makes me a bit bitter because it hurt the story. That hurt the story. Anyways, that was totally not Yoshi P. He says he's genuinely excited to bring the finale of this story arc to our players. Wouldn't say I feel sad that we are concluding the arc that spanned over a decade, because I must think about the next story now. There is no end to my work.
So yeah, I think they definitely could have condensed the story a bit.
Yeah, and it felt like they were going to with the way that the story was presented, and then it was kind of like, why do we have this big Zodiark and
I had that line in the last episode where it said he was bringing it to an end,
and then it didn't happen, and it's because it was popular, and they're like, oh, it's popular, let's not bring it to an end yet. We don't want to lose those people, basically. Which that again that's disappointing to me. Don't do that. Make a good product, and if the product is good, it should continue to stand on its own.
And I think I forgot to give proper accreditation to this interview. It's from the PlayStation blog conducted by Clara Herzog, and we will link all of these interviews in the show notes.
Jeez, how many interviews are we reading?
97.
Bye.
What are some of the main themes you want fans to watch out for as they explore the new expansion and play through Endwalker's story? When the players finally reach the end of 6.0, what do you want them to feel?
In 14, the story progresses without explicit boundaries defining good or evil, due in part to my own tastes and preferences in storytelling. I fully disagree with that. Historically is typically defined by the winners, and in these cases, it is the loser who is consistently depicted as evil. That's how it always is. The loser is always the evil guy. The winner is always the good guy. Why is that considered different?
I think he's saying it. He's wanting you to feel that, when you're okay. First of all, they didn't do a good job of this.
That's what I'm saying. You don't.
But that's what his aim was, which I get. I don't think they achieved it.
I agree with you there. I agree with you. So he continues.
He wanted to put a gray area in there, but it's the Assassins were a bunch of Nazis.
Yeah, we're still the good guys. Even though we're darkness is now good. There was no confusion. We just told people we were dark when we were still always light the entire time. That's all it was. Anyways, he continues. However, each side had something that they stood for, and the definition of good and evil shifted depending upon the times, people's values, education, and laws. That literally is not a definition of good of evil. That's a definition of light and dark. That was it. I try to picture what would people believe despite such circumstances, or how people find hope in the face of inevitable despair. Personally, I don't wish for players to feel a certain way as they play through the story. I say this because I believe people should have freedom in that aspect. I hope our players enjoy Endwalker.
I will say
I'm sorry to be negative.
They've achieved this at some point because some people really love Emmett Silk.
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck about Emmett Silk.
I enjoyed his character because...
Well, I enjoyed his character, but I don't think he was right by any means.
Well, in his mind, he was.
Yeah, in his mind, he was, and that's what Yoshi P is going for, but
I think that every villain should be right in their own mind.
Yeah, fucking Hitler was right in his own mind.
Yeah, a good villain is right, believes what they're doing is right, and that's why Emmett Silk was so good, because it gives a human element to them. But by saying that we confused what is good and what is evil, that's to me only specific to Eorzea. Well, not even just Final Fantasy, because they didn't actually, they assign good and bad to light and dark. Those are used interchangeably, except in the world, the first, which it swaps that. So it's not good and
We
bad
got
that are
it
changed.
wrong.
It was light and dark that were changed, and then how people perceive them. So good is still good, bad is still bad, but the color associated with it changed. I don't know. You can hate me for saying that, but that's how I.
Yeah, I think they missed on this. It wasn't very much gray area in this.
I was hoping for more gray area.
We're always in the right.
It was great. I really enjoyed the story of Shadowbringers, but right, Esper says Emmett was a character they tried to get you to sympathize with, and that's because he was the first Ascian that had any humanity to him at all. And he, instead of just being Blarg, I'm the bad guy, I'm going to tell you my plot and then you're going to kill me, he like kind of explained where he came from, and we're like, that's fucked up, but I get it. So yeah.
All right. So I'm gonna read this next one, then I'm gonna run to the bathroom. You give your answer.
Okay.
The first new playable job you revealed, Sage, took a lot of people by surprise, and this iteration's design is brand new to Final Fantasy series. How did you decide to go for a brand new 14 original, and where did you find inspiration from?
He responds, we had already decided in the early stages of development that one of the new jobs in Endwalker would be a healer, which we all knew. And there were several different ideas that the team had proposed. If we chose an existing job from the Final Fantasy series, I felt it would not only be very difficult to differentiate it from White Mage, Scholar, and Astrologian, the 3 existing healers in the game, but also difficult to create a unique gameplay experience for the job. Rather than utilizing something that already exists in the Final Fantasy universe, I asked for a brand new job, ideas from the team. That is when someone proposed the idea of a job that didn't use weapons that were held in the character's hands, but were instead controlled magically. It was from that base idea that we moved forward into creating the Sage job. I didn't personally love the Sage job, but that's just me. I know a lot of people are really excited about the Sage job. I think the announcement of the Sage job for a lot of healers or people who play healers was less about like the aesthetic of the Sage job and more about the change that this addition to the game is going to bring to healers as a whole. Because now they're making healers very role-based, so the inclusion of Sage is going to change how White Mage, Scholar, and Astrologian, especially Astrologian, all play. So it's almost like we're getting 4 new healers with Sage, and you're going to have to find out which one you prefer. And also, KK just says the Astrologian globe isn't actually held. Yeah, it floats over your hand. And Red Mage just holds a sword, but then the little stone floats over their hand. So I guess that isn't super new, but maybe this one floats over their shoulder, so that makes it really new.
Yeah, I don't mind the aesthetic as much as you do.
I didn't complain about it here.
Okay.
I don't love the aesthetic. I feel like it...
I was peeing, so I don't know.
I know. It looks like a Red Mage to me with the Allegan gear who's got 4 floaty swords. So, but that's me, and I
think of it as
I don't need
4
to love it.
floaty dildos.
It's kind of the same.
Next question in this interview was, if you could tell newcomers just one thing to entice them to Final Fantasy XIV, what would it be?
When it comes to MMOs, many people immediately think, I have to play for a very long time, or there's a massive amount of content to play through. However, 14 is quite unique in that despite being an MMO, it is a heavily story-driven game. I'm gonna all caps and bold that for you guys. Imagine it like an interactive TV drama in which you can experience the story and grow as the main character as you progress, with the narrative continuously propelling you forward. Since Endwalker is our 4th expansion, you can think of that as Season 4. You can totally catch up. Plus, you can get to Season 2 for free with our free trial. Ha, ha, ha. As laughs in parentheses.
Yeah,
also, we've all heard this before. So this was, his little sales pitch of 14 is more like a TV show than it is like an MMO.
Yeah, they use that analogy a lot.
A lot.
But at the same time, I'm like, a TV show progresses even faster than this does.
Valid.
The next interview we have is from PCGamesN.com, conducted by Ian Harris.
So you're only going to do one question from this one, I think?
Yeah, this one wasn't. They didn't really have questions. It was kind of like an article, and then they just listed some of the things that Yoshida said. So, I'm just gonna read some of the quotes from there. As I've explained before, we produce Final Fantasy XIV's main scenario in a similar manner to a TV drama series.
He has never said that before, not in the last interview we just read.
We were fortunate to receive a great deal of praise for the previous expansion, Shadowbringers, having uncovered around 80% of the mysteries, as well as linking elements within the story and tying up loose ends, of course. I believe we could use a strategy of stretching out the story without providing a conclusion to Endwalker.
Wait. I believe we could use a strategy of stretching out the story without providing a conclusion in Endwalker. So this to me says that he's not wanting to give a conclusion in Endwalker. He's into the idea of stretching out the story even more.
And he contradicts himself a lot coming up.
Okay. Maybe it wasn't a great translation.
That's definitely possible.
Okay.
So, of course, I believe we could use a strategy of stretching out the story without providing conclusion to Endwalker. However, there's a bigger risk that
so
dragging...
he's saying, of course, I believe we could use a strategy, but not that they're doing that. Got it. This is how you read it. Sorry,
However, there is a bigger risk that dragging the story on for so long would weaken the impact due to the decrease in momentum, and it would be harder to round off the plot with further characters in the mix.
Yes, this is definitely something you guys are leaning towards.
If that's the case, then I felt it would be better to deliver the first climax in the story, as we believe this will craft a more powerful game experience as I had originally envisioned. We're going all out, so make yourself prepared.
Good.
And he also says, there are plenty of possibilities available in the world of Final Fantasy XIV. There's the continent of Mericidia, the other reflections of the source, and the calamities that occurred in the past. It's always a little intimidating when we craft a new story, but equally to look forward to.
Something to look forward
to. Of course, there's pressure on our shoulders, too.
Good. Hopefully, he's saying they're not going to do that again with the stretching out of the story, because that was something we just talked about being the weaker element of Shadowbringers toward the end there, because it was so great, and then the middle just was like...
And I've been saying that for a while.
Yeah.
Beginning solid, and solid, middle not solid. Fucking quicksand.
A little bit. It feels like silly putty.
And the next interview we have is from the Washington Post.
Very cool.
Conducted by Gene Park.
Yoshida says that when planning expansions, about 70% of the work is already expected to be done, and then the team leaves 30% of its energy in order to devote to different or innovative feature sets, and this has been the approach for each story expansion from Heavensward all the way through Endwalker.
That's pretty interesting. So, like, 70% is kind of on rails. They know exactly what they're going to do. And then the 30% is like, what can we do new? What can we get people not necessarily excited about? Because obviously a lot of people are excited about that 70%.
Mm-hmm.
But what is there different that we can do that to get people excited about?
Gray Honey Badger, you missed the salt earlier. We already talked about our salty bits. Salty bits have been talked about.
There's always room for more salt.
And he continues with, for example, we'll look at an instance dungeon, and it's within that circle of 60 to 70%. And for creating the instance dungeon, we would need our game design to come up with the actual content of the plan that would probably take about 10 business days. And then we will report that for proper approvals, which cost another 30 days. And then we'll route that to programmers, which would take them about 2 weeks to program in the mechanics. It's very clear as to how much cost and time will take with each component of the package that we have for our planners and the management. So he just told us that, like, it just takes like a month and a half for us to, well, make 2 months to get a dungeon.
Well, it's 30 plus 10 plus 14.
About two months.
Yeah. About 2 months for them to get a dungeon done.
That's what I said. Thank you.
Yeah, I have more on that later. The standardized approach has helped the team become more efficient in creating dungeons, but because the game is a live service, he's wary about the team resisting too much on their laurels when it comes to creative stories and features That's why the approach leaves about 30% of the team's time to focus on innovation. It's great that his team can anticipate the work, but it's less exciting if the player base is able to predict the upcoming updates. We're always able to predict the upcoming updates.
Yeah.
Like we might not know the storyline exactly, but we know we're getting one dungeon, we're getting, one extreme trial. Like, we know the fucking content.
We know the
update.
formula. Yeah. No, Grey Honey Badger, you already missed that conversation. We talked about all that. You got to listen to the episode to get the salt. We're on to, I don't know if this is so much sugar, but this is more just like carbs. We're carb loading now. All right. So with that being said, there is a major risk of boredom and fatigue. In order to mitigate that aspect, we leave 30 to 40% out of the bundled package. This is all numbers. So that we can take on new challenges, think of new
Avi
pieces.
doesn't do well with numbers.
Think of new pieces of content, not when I'm trying to be entertaining. And sometimes we'll make use of the space over multiple patches to bring something larger scale. So by doing so, we still have a sort of stability in our 60 to 70% regular content. This is not exciting content to talk about, Pete. This is like...
It may not be exciting, but I think it's important.
Okay, in my opinion, this is... You like statistics, you like numbers. This is an interesting thing to read about where you go, that was interesting. It's not something that's interesting to have a conversation about when you're trying to be entertaining.
Not always about entertaining. It's about providing information as well.
That's what the internet is. We're a podcast. We're about entertaining, drunk Pete.
I think they're closer to the 70% than the 60% of regular content. I don't feel like 40% is innovation.
No, it's not. I'll agree there.
They go on to say Final Fantasy XIV has also been lauded as one of the better written entries in the series. A notable accolade for being one of only two of the franchise's massive online games. Yoshida confirms that he and 4 story writers conceived the premise first, usually locking themselves in a rental meeting room somewhere in the Shinjuku ward of Tokyo. The stories are usually planned out far in advance. For Endwalker, the story was written by October 2019.
Not surprising.
So, in any interviews, and I've already seen some where he says we can't give that much information because we don't know.
He always knows.
He's known this shit since 2019.
Yeah. Well, but things get tweaked and changed, and they're not allowed to talk about it for a certain period of time. So I mean, I get it. It makes sense.
Yes. But my one miscellaneous thought from this was patch 5.1. That was on October 28th, 2019. 487 days from now, today, as we're talking about this right now, we've gotten 4 dungeons in that time.
Mm-hmm.
And that's counting the dungeon we got that day.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, if you were going back from like the end of the original, it'd be a lot longer. So these dungeons have one route. There's no RNG to these dungeons or anything like that. It's the same thing every damn time. So if we go back to his timeline for a dungeon of 10 days at the beginning, 30 days in between, and then 4.
Well, he doesn't have one team working on only dungeons.
2 days at the end, or 2 weeks at the end. We're way under.
Well, no, but
the
you don't have like a
average.
team that's only doing dungeons, Pete. They do other things. In the meantime, that's just the amount of time it takes for them to do that.
I know, but if that's the amount of time it takes them to make a dungeon, that's about,
But do you want more on rails dungeons, or do you want more like surprise and spontaneity to the dungeons?
Well, we're not getting either at the moment.
That's what I was just asking you, which you would prefer.
I prefer more RNG dungeons in multiple ways, multiple prizes.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that.
Because at the moment, all we get is maybe you get a minion at the end, maybe you don't.
Yeah, I agree.
Most likely you
don't. I
don't.
was just curious with your vent, what would you want out of that? Also,
I'd like more variety. I think you can get more bang for your buck with variety if you make multiple paths, make it easier and a harder path. You get more bang for your buck that way than just making the same dungeon over and over again.
Or even if it was the same path in the dungeon, if the timing that the mobs spawned. There were like 3 different versions of like the spawning of the mobs, and you never knew which one you were going to get. And obviously people would prefer one over the other. At least it would like feel slightly different. And like the order of the bosses would change. I don't know. It would just be kind of which I know they can't do because that's part of the map, but they could take that same on rails aspect and slightly change it so that it at least didn't feel like completely repetitive like it is.
But the timeline that they gave us before and what we're getting in dungeons is over double. Like the time wise. Yeah. The amount of dungeons.
Like I said, it's not like the team is just dungeon team, Pete. They do other things.
All right. So I guess what I'm getting at is, has this team stayed the same size this whole time?
They're just tasked with other things. They don't only do dungeons.
I understand that.
Okay.
But all they do is give us these numbers.
But they give us different content. They've been trying to create more new content.
Okay.
And that's where
I get that's what they tell us.
No, but they have been.
But have they?
Yeah.
Okay.
But doesn't mean it's the content we want.
Let's say they have been.
Look at the Bozjan Southern Front and the Clit and all that. Like, that's a lot of development.
That's Eureka.
Time.
That's your Relic. We've always had Relic.
No, but it's like we've had the concept of Relic, not the way that Relic has been done this time. Like,
okay. The point I'm trying to get at really quickly is they keep on telling us there's this many adventurers, 30 million adventurers or 18 million adventurers, and it always increases. Are you not increasing your dev team at the same pace?
No.
Because that's what I want. If you're going to tell us these numbers are there's 30 million adventurers or whatever the fuck you're telling us right now,
if you want
then increase your fucking dev team too.
No, because they want to make more money. And if
I understand.
You don't need to raise your voice.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I understand. I understand that the goal of a company is to make as much fucking money as you can. But at the same time, it's like, it feels like we're getting less and less content. You're making more and more money. You got to give us a little bit more than what you're giving us. Because if we had a raid group, like, I love our raid group. Don't get me wrong. I have a fucking blast every time we raid. But we're like what would be considered a casual raid group. If I was like a hardcore raid group that beat the shit in the first month, what the fuck are you doing in the game right now?
You're playing other games, or you're collecting items.
Yeah, you're either a hardcore collector trying to get every item in this game, or you're beating raid and you're going on to something else. Like
KK just said, you're doing ultimate.
You're doing ultimate, or you're just hanging out with fans, which is a perfectly viable
friends, not fans.
Fans, friends, whatever. You're hanging out with people that you enjoy hanging out with. And which is perfectly fine. That's what an MMO is. In my ultimate assessment of an MMO, it's like, have you created a stable environment for me to hang out with my fans and do friends and do content?
You don't have that many fans, all 2 of you.
All 2 of me. But yeah, I think from what it seems, it's like it's expanding the player base, but they haven't expanded the dev team, and I think they need to expand that.
KK says Oi fans or only fans? Sorry, I know that was a typo. The thing is, Pete, is that so yes, they make more money as the player base expands, but you also have to realize that this is getting to the point where it's becoming an older game. So they're not going to start throwing more money at an older game, regardless how good the last expansion was. So you can ask for more people, more devs, more like it's not going to happen. It's just not.
Well,
and the thing is that they're focusing their dev time on things that they find keep people playing longer. And the things that keep people playing longer are those collector things, those time waster things, those elements of the game that I personally don't play a lot of. They're not the adventure side of the game. And that's okay if that's the direction the game chooses to go. It's just not necessarily the direction I want to play.
I don't necessarily know that that's happening, though. I think there's a huge drop-off in players right now.
They're focusing their efforts on crafting and like the diadem and the restoration of Ishgard, and now they're implementing the islands, which is more like housing items. They're building a new housing area. Like all of the stuff that they're implementing is a lot of it's like more relic stuff. It's all very collector based casual long-term player items, which is fine. It's not the stuff I'm going to do.
Yeah.
It's very, very grindy. Yeah, thank you, Sarax. And so grinding items are what keep people playing longer. Keeping people playing longer makes them more money in the long term. So that is, like, they're ultimately a business, and so they're focusing the efforts on that.
I get it, yeah.
Yeah.
Make that money, make that dollar.
It's fine. I'm not trying to.
Might be a part of Sony soon.
But the focus on all of that is it's bringing back to the salt is why I was disappointed, because those are the elements of the game that I personally don't enjoy and I don't generally want to do. And so, like, all the hype for the things they added were things that I don't want to do, and then they didn't even add the things that I want to do, was why I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I will say I was pretty out on the Island Sanctuary thing last time we had a podcast. I've come around to the idea a little bit because we've been playing Valheim.
Of what? You've come around to the idea of what?
Of Island Sanctuary.
Right.
I'm like, if they can make it, I obviously I know it's not going to be like Valheim, but maybe if you can let me do like a little bit of customization in there, let me build some of my own shit in there. I don't know. We'll see. But if it's just like a place where I can store all my minions and have them run around, I don't give a shit.
You should look into the island sanctuaries that they added for 11, Pete, and you'll probably have a better idea of what they're planning.
No. Fuck that.
You want to be completely surprised.
I will never play it.
I'm not telling you to play it. I'm telling you to Google.
No. Can't be bothered.
Okay. Moving on.
We kind of sprinkled in listener reaction throughout this episode, so we just have one at the end here from Disco Cub, who says, wow. I missed one hell of an episode of At She Heals I Tank last week between Aviel talking about getting caulking all over her hands.
I forgot about that.
And it going everywhere. Pete not wearing pants. And my tweet about Sage and its magical dildos being the tweet of the week. Perfect Valentine's Day? Question mark?
I forgot about all the caulking, man. That took forever to get off my clothes. And that's another bad joke. I'm sorry. Okay. On that note, that is going to be it for this episode. As always, we've enjoyed hanging out with all of you live here on Twitch. Thank you so much for spending your time with us, especially with our extremely drunk Pete. Be sure to hit that follow button so you know next time we will be going live. A great big thank you to everyone listening to the podcast through iTunes, Stitcher, Podbean, or live on YouTube.
My horny level.
Whatever app you choose to listen to, you really are the reason we keep making episodes. And remember, of course, wherever you do listen, it would mean a shit ton to us from our She Heals I Tank podcast. If you didn't get it from the 3 explanations you got from Pete throughout the episode, it would mean a ton to us if you gave our little shit podcast a rating or review. Or more importantly, tell a friend to check us out. Here with Vegan Pete, who's extremely intoxicated, I'm Avi Ale, and we will talk to you next week. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.